Hello and welcome to episode 5 of this illustration series. In this video we're going to be looking at adding base colours to your artwork. Last time we did the line work, this time we're going to add those colours. Adding base colours brings the design to life. It's a rewarding process. So there are various ways that digital illustrators would add colour. First of all, we'll explore the one that I'm using currently. In later videos we'll be looking at adding shadows and highlights, and there are various methods for doing that as well. So let's check out this next video and see how it's done.
Okay, so here we are where we left off. What I need to do is just to double check we've got everything in place, and this is what I recommend you do as a habit. So if I turn off the inking layer, you'll see that there's a few bits and pieces that are on the wrong layer. So this is the slime layer, and I've kept it separate just in case we needed to have the snail on its own. It just simplifies the way we can just remove the slime. But on this slime layer, which is the green layer here, you'll notice that we've got some items that should be on the inking layer. So we just use the lasso tool and draw around everything that we want to select. So there we go, so that's a handy tool. You can see all the points are in green to match the layer. So if you do Control X to cut them from that layer, turn on the inking layer, click on the inking layer, Control F to paste in place, because if you do Control V it doesn't put it in exactly the same place it came from, which we do need. Now we have the slime layer on its own. Okay, so that's that. We've labelled it slime and inking. So what I would do now is probably duplicate. So hold down the Alt button, click on the layer, drag up till you get the plus, let go, and you've got a duplicate. So I would then use this as the colouring layer. So I will turn off the slime, turn off the inking and lock these, and label this one base colour. There we go. So we're on the base colour layer. And what we want to do, we can turn off the scan now as well. So we are just going to colour this dude. So the process is to select everything. If we zoom in, you'll see that these are all strokes with preset widths, obviously set by the pen that we used, the Wacom pen. So we've got thick and thin parts of the strokes like here, but they are a stroke. So what we need to do is, once they're all selected, you go to Object, Path and Outline Stroke, and this will turn them into shapes. So now you can see that they are shapes. The strokes themselves are the perimeters of the shapes. And then what we want to do is go to Unite under Pathfinder. So we unite them, and they all now are one shape. Okay. Once we've done that, we need to draw a rectangle to cover everything, and change the colour of the rectangle to like a pale blue or something like that. There we go. Doesn't really matter. And then we want to right click. We can Control Shift and then left square bracket, or you can right click, arrange and send to back. So there's a shortcut, and that will send it to the back. Now what we want to do is select everything here. Back to Pathfinder, we use the divide. Hit divide, and that will divide the blue into many different shapes that make up the image. So if we right click and ungroup, or Control Shift G, and then click off, we can click on the outer blue and move it, and you'll see what it's done. And then we can delete that, and it does a pretty good job for most parts, but you will have some issues that you'll probably run into, like this sort of thing here. Click on that and hit delete, because we don't want that there. Okay, and then you can start colorizing this as the base layer. So if you was to click on one of these shapes and move it, you'll see it's just white behind it. So we can start with the face, click on that, change the colour, and we'll change it to like sort of funky green. There we go. Do the eyes, so I'm going to shift and click on that one as well. Change the colour to bright white. Same for the teeth, so I'm going to click on the teeth, press I on the keyboard for the eyedropper tool, sample the white of the eyes, press a V. So now we're on the select tool, click the tongue, change the colour of this to a pinky purple. Yeah, that's lovely. Change the inner of the mouth into a dark black. There we are. Change this inside of the shell to a dark brown, very dark brown. And change this bit of the shell to something a bit like that. And these are just rough colours for now. Hit the tail, press I, sample the neck, press V to select again, press click on the main shell, we'll sample this brown, but we'll then click on the colour and darken it off a bit. That much. There we go. Okay, that. And you can see one of the problems that we've run into is the A has also gone brown, which we don't want. So first of all, we're going to finish off the rest of the A, so we're going to choose a slightly off white. There we go. Click on that, eyedropper sample, press V, select next bit, eyedropper sample, press V, next bit, eyedropper sample, press V, and we're going to fix this problem where the part of the A is attached to the shell. Control Z, put it back. Right, and how we do this is we create a copy of this shape first of all. So to do that, you do Control C to copy and Control F to paste in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colour of it so we know what's what. So this is green. So underneath this shape is the original. Okay. We need to cut this green into two pieces. And the problem was because of that gap. So because of that gap, it's all one shape. So what we do is press P for the pen tool and we create a throwaway shape there, which I'll colour yellow just so you can see it. You select the throwaway shape that's on top and shift click the green shape below it. If I zoom out, you can see. And then you go to Pathfinder and you minus the front. So that cuts the little yellow section out of that green section. So you should now see the shell underneath. There we go, so there's the brown shell underneath, and these are two shapes. So if we click on the green and right click and ungroup, because they're going to be, there we go, so we've got two separate shapes now. They would have been one shape. But ungrouping them, you've got two separate shapes. We can hit this green outer shape here and then hit delete. No, I didn't work with it, it selected both. Hit just the green on the outer, there we go. And then select this, eyedropper it and sample. So that's one way of fixing that type of issue that you might encounter. So let's finish off the rest of the shell. Sample that, press V. I for eyedropper, sample that, press V. I know it can be a bit repetitive, but It does save some time in the long run. There we go. So that so far is our little punk rock snail. He's looking pretty funky. So let's change this to a more of a silvery grey. There we go. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on this. Which is Control plus on the keyboard. Select the other two shapes around it. Press I. And change them as well. And there we go. That is our base colours almost done. I think I might have to tone these blues down a little bit. So do these. Sorry, double click. Let's change it to a bit more of a. Still want it quite bright, but it's not quite that bright. There we are. And that is the base colours done. So now we can do the same thing again with the slime if you wanted to. So if we sort of turn on the slime layer, if we hold down Alt and drag this up here, and then we can turn that off and lock it again, we've got a copy of the slime layer. Okay, so what we can do is exactly the same process to colour the slime, but we might run into a few issues here as well, but I'll show you how we can go about fixing those. So first of all, if we turn on the scan, we can see where we can break this layer up as well, because obviously there's no inking line behind the snail, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. So the first thing I would do is use this button here to select everything on this slime copy layer. I would call this slime color, base color, slime color, slime base color. So we've got slime base color all selected. So the first thing we do is we go path, outline stroke as before, and unite. So this is all one shape now, and then we can create the box around it as before. We can have this as, again, bright blue, and we can send it to back as well. So Control Shift and left bracket. Now we'll select everything on the layer again, and we'll divide. But you'll see that it's ungroup first. Ungroup. If you click this now, it's just cut through it rather than isolating everything. So what we need to do is create another throwaway shape where it's been broken. So what you could do is draw the pen tool from that point to this point, come back up and just join it back down again like that, and that creates a throwaway shape. Change colour so you can see it. There we go. And I will punch this shape through the background shape. So this yellow is going to be cut out in blue. So if I minus front, push, you can see where it's cut. Now if I click off and click here and drag, it's still moving all as one, so there's another break somewhere. So if you go in, you can see there is another break here. And that might be the last one, so we do exactly the same. We'll create a throwaway shape using the pen tool. So you just click here, go up to there, change colour just so you can see it's a different thing. Red later. So with this shape and the main blue background selected, again we minus front, which cuts the hole. Now if I zoom out a bit more, if I click the outer shape, Still moving as one. Maybe I need to ungroup. There we go. It looks like it's taken it all with it. So we can now delete that outer piece, and it's left us the main section. If we, I'll lock the main snail base colour. Turn that on. You can see. There we are. So now you can change the colour of the slime to whatever you wish. I've not even thought about what colour the slime should be. Probably something a little bit like that. And then you can start editing all the little pieces. So you've got central sections that... Oh, yeah, getting nice and close. Delete that. There we go. Delete just that piece there to getting close. That piece there in the middle. There in the middle. Nope, that worked. Getting closer. Just that piece in the middle. There we are. You probably have to use a white to just do those up extra bits there. But there we go, there's the base colour of the slime as well, in case we need it. So far, that is what we have. And in the next video you'll see how we can add the highlights and the shadows with the colour and complete the artwork. One last little trick at the moment is to put your original inking layer, so the inking layer and the slime inking layer, which I've just renamed inking just so I didn't get confused, put them to the top so that your colours are going to appear below. So what happens is, even though we've got inking on the colour layers as well as the main inking layer, what that means is if you was to go onto your slime base colour and you wanted to delete the blue from these areas so that they are a transparency, then what you can do is just use the eraser tool and just draw, and it will then, I mean, what you're seeing underneath is the original sketch layer. But what it does is if you erase over the black, as soon as you let go, you'll see it gets covered up by the original inking layer. So if I turn off that layer, it is actually eating into it, but with the inking layer on, it repairs all that. So make sure your inking layers are locked so you don't destroy anything, but you can go around and literally just use the erase tool to erase that blue from those areas where you perhaps don't want it. So there we go. So I'm using the mouse for all this. Straightforward stuff that you don't need to use the pen to do this sort of stuff. The mouse does a fine job. This hole here, there, there. That one's already been done. I'll leave that bit there and I'll just remove some of this. I think that's fine. Piece it. There we are. So if I zoom out, Control 0, see the whole thing. We can then turn off the colour layers, turn on the inking layers, turn off the original scan. So these are the inking layers. So you've got the main snail, below it you've got the slime. Base colours for the snail with extra ink in, but as I explained, doesn't matter. And then Same for the slime, which has now got all the holes showing.
Punk rock snail. So there we are, there's my basic technique on adding colour to the design. As you can see, the design looks a lot more professional, a lot more fun and lively. It really does bring it to life. In the next video we will be looking at adding those shadows, the shadow colours and the highlight colours. We're getting very close now to completing the design. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video if you found it helpful, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, dudes.